Chapter 27. John used each step toward Rebecca's room to sift through thoughts and figure out what he would share with her. He didn't want to alarm her, but she would need to be strong. He was concerned, but he had to sound positive. He needed to build her confidence and help her know she could face the trials that would stand before her. Even though he would be away, they could still work together. He would find a way to make things right, but she would have to do her part. Be strong, courageous, seek victory. These words rang through his mind as he stepped toward the ward's closed doors. John pulled at the handles only to discover the doors were locked. The doors were never locked from the outside. Pulled harder and Barry emerged from the west hallway. "Hey Barry, what's going on with these doors?" "They are now locked at all times," Barry stated and pushed himself between John and the ward's entrance. "You can only enter if you have the proper keys." "Dr. Gravers has my keys." "Without keys..." "I just need to finish some unsettled business. I'll be brief. Could you just open the doors for me?" "I'm sorry. I can't allow you in unless you have keys." Barry refused to look at John. "Or I get permission from Dr. Gravers." "Permission?" "Dr. Gravers just radioed me." Barry's voice grew weak. "Said I wasn't allowed to let you enter." "You're serious?" "He blamed me for all the times you've entered this ward to spend time with a certain patient you're not authorized to be with." "That's..." "Dr. Gravers said I was in jeopardy of losing my job if security was ever breached again. Sorry, Dr. Sanders." "Please, you have to help me out." Barry's boyish face quivered. "I wish I could, but this is my job. I have a wife and 2 kids, and one on the way. I can't afford to lose my job." "I was her doctor." "I know, but according to Dr. Gravers, you haven't been for over 2 weeks. We've been careless and not followed procedures. We've let you come and go through here. So I've got to follow these guidelines." "I can't believe this." The shock was leaving. Reality was sinking in. John was no longer a part of Clearcreek. He was an outsider. "Look, I'm sorry," Barry said. "What if I'm a guest, a visitor? You can't stop me if I want to see her as a friend." "In order for you to be a visitor, we need to verify that your name is cleared, and you are listed as an acceptable guest. Dr. Gravers insists we tighten up on our security." At last, Barry looked at John. "Look, if I could help you, I would, but there's nothing I can do. I can't do something that'll cost me my job. Just this once, Barry. I can't." "Fine." Against his will, John started to walk away, but images of the past beckoned him to return. With urgency and hopefulness, he returned to the wing's entrance. "There's nothing you can do?" he asked. "No, I'm sorry." "And there's nothing I can do?" "Nothing." "Barry, I've helped you in the past. Now help me." With his eyes focused on the ground, Barry swayed back and forth. Seconds passed. Finally, he motioned for John to come closer. In a barely audible voice, he whispered, "All right, you saved me last winter. I guess I'll return the favor. I'll help you, but not right now. A week from Saturday, I'll be covering for my assistant. Be here at 2 o'clock. Barry, you're gold." The week dragged by. John had too much time to think, and he tortured himself with fear. However, on the appointed Saturday, everything seemed to be going right. When he arrived at Clearcreek, John learned that no administration was on site. Only a few of the staff roamed the halls, and Barry was cooperative and accommodating as he escorted John toward the room. John had devised a plan, but it required Rebecca's efforts. He had tried to visualize all the roadblocks they would face. However, nothing had prepared him for this one. Rebecca sat at the table, rocking, jerking back and forth, painfully biting her lip. A distorted bundle hung in her arms. She twisted and crushed a small corner in her left hand. "Rebecca?" Her eyes were focused forward as she proceeded to clench and wring the blanket. "Rebecca, please." He stood above her, but as he watched her, it was clear. She did not see him, nor did she hear him. At first, he felt nothing. He paced the floor and stared at her. He tried to sort out the situation, but his own reality became lost in the process. He had been professionally trained for setbacks, but all he could feel was hot anger, bitter resentment toward this pitiful woman. How could she allow herself to fall like this? He had done everything, even sacrificed his job for her sake. In return, she had allowed herself to digress to a sick state of existence. His words were charged with fervency. "Rebecca, look at me." Her eyes remained focused on the wall. "Don't shut me out like this. We were close. Too close." A sentimental rush caught John off guard. He choked off the unwelcome response, but his voice softened. "I thought you really were committed to this. You wanted to leave here. You wanted to develop the health, the freedom, and you could have had it." He took a moment to gain control of his rampant emotions. He stopped pacing, turned his focus to his breathing, and tried to calm the rage. He positioned himself in front of her glazed view and leaned forward to touch the blanket. She showed no signs of panic. He placed his hand over hers. She did not respond, only continued jerking back and forth. "Rebecca, listen to me. I didn't want to leave you, but I had no choice. There was nothing I could do. My whole purpose at Clearcreek was to help you. That's why I came back, to explain things." Did she hear him? "Rebecca, I have something important I need to share with you. It'll help you. You need to understand things for what they are. Please listen to me." He tightened his fingers around her hand. Still, she refused to look at him. "This isn't fair." Again, he had no control over the situation, but he continued to plead. "Treat me different than the rest, because I believed in you." "Doesn't that matter?" John shook his head. "You have to still care about this." The unresponsive stare remained. John released the grasp and rested the weight of his forehead in the palm of his hands. "What do you really want?" There was nothing. He could do no more. When he stood to leave, a sad smile crossed his lips. "Rebecca Brownell, regardless of what you choose to do with your life, you taught me things, and it was a privilege to work with you." "Out." Her voice was low and deep, ice cold. "I want you to leave." "I have to explain," John said quickly. "You need to know some things." She refused to look at him. "You made me look like a fool." "What do you mean?" He studied her face in search of the Rebecca he'd known. The words were slow and clear. "I thought we were working to not make me crazy." "We were." "Then why did you let me appear crazy to Dr. Milton?" "What?" She continued to contort the small blanket, and her bony knuckles emerged. "I told him you were my doctor. He told me I was wrong. He said you used to be my doctor, but I said no. I told him I could prove it, that sometimes you come right before dinner, that he could come and see for himself. He came, but you didn't." Her body shook. She adjusted the bundle in her arms, then continued to speak. "He told me I'd been hallucinating, that it was in my head. I tried not to believe him. I kept telling him you would come, and I kept thinking that you would, but you didn't." She took 3 quick gasps of air, waited, then with no alteration in her voice, continued. "Dr. Milton said that was proof. I'd been creating my own existence again. He's been trying different medications and treatments to help me work through the false images. I became a freak again, all because of you. I want you to leave." "Rebecca, I didn't mean to. What were you trying to do? I'm crazy. Did you want to prove that to everyone, especially to me?" "Please, I have to explain some things." "No," she said. "Leave me alone. I'm staying here. This is where I need to be. Don't let them destroy you. Look at what you've become. You can still fight. You can still do this without me." "No." Rebecca stopped rocking. "They were right. They've always been right." "No. They want to keep you here. They are trying to keep you here. You have to fight back. You're not real. You tried to get me to go to a place that doesn't exist. Why would I want to leave what I have here? Your world is false. Rebecca, what I'm telling you is real. I want to help you learn the truth. Let me explain." "No," she screamed. "Get out." His only choice was to leave.